Brett Lee is that perfect recreation of what the 4 tent pegs represent. Now, where does this terminology come from? Essex-based fast bowling coach Ian Pont, who has worked with the Bangladesh national team, who's worked with the Pakistani national team, who's worked with teams in the IPL, BPL, BBL, CPL. He has been a elite fast bowling coach for more than 2 decades. And he came up with this terminology called the 4 tent pegs. The 4 tent pegs, this terminology is borrowed from, let's say you're going camping or you go hiking somewhere and you decide you want to rest. When you rest, you set up a tent. When you set up the tent, it has 4 to 6, or sometimes if you have a bigger tent, 4 to 8 legs, if we can put it that way. Those legs are called pegs. And they ensure that the tent stays upright and stable regardless of the weather conditions around you. Ian Pont took this concept and transferred it to fast bowling. What if we created the 4 legs or the 4 pegs of fast bowling to ensure that the energy transfer is smooth and efficient and your body is protected in the process? Hello everyone. Fast bowling isn't just about effort or aggression. It's about sequencing, leverage, and how the body moves energy through space. Today on Crick Take, we're breaking down fast bowling through biomechanics and physics, using fast bowling coach Ian Pont's 4 tent pegs to explain where pace actually comes from, why some bowlers stay fast and injury-free, and why others don't. My name is Hassan Ali, with me is Sharan Kumar, and today we are joined by physics PhD candidate Hamza Atar. But before we go into tent pegs, Hamza, can you tell us about run up and maybe even jump?
Yeah, it all starts, if you just follow the fundamental principles of physics, is that you're not going to create energy or pace out of nowhere, right? So it's all about transforming and generating that momentum to give it to your delivery. You can't just stand there and throw as fast as you can. You need to be able to generate it and carefully make sure that it transfers. So the first place that you generate is the run up. So you want to run as fast as you can, as long as you can. Some people are like right at the 30-yard circle. Some people have a shorter run up. It just depends on how much pace you can generate and how efficiently you can transfer it. So now run up alone is not enough because, like I said, you could be running in from the boundary line. But if your jump is not efficient enough, then you're actually losing all of that momentum. Then someone with a shorter run up, but with a much more efficient jump can actually convert it. So if you're working with like 100% and your energy conversion is just barely 50%, you're only getting 50 out. Rather than that, if someone is working with, let's say, 80% speed and they convert 100% of it, they can just bowl much faster.
So now we get into tent peg 1, the first leg of fast bowling. And that is the gather, where the back foot makes contact.
So if you're talking about it from a biomechanics point of view, so I mean, once you jump and you want to do the gather, once you land, I think you have 3 options. Your foot can either be side on, semi-side on, or facing forward. All of it's fine. Just like if you can be a front on bowler or a side on bowler, everything has its pros and cons. But what you need to make sure later on is that your front leg and your back leg aren't crossing over, right? If you land your back leg, it can be side, front, facing, whatever is fine. Then your front leg has just a limited area where it has supposed to land. If you make a bad landing, either with front or back, what will happen is you're twisting your body. Because you're going to bowl, the wicket is there, the wicket's not moving, the batsman's not moving, you know that's where you want to bowl, that's where your ball is going to be released. If the bottom half is not following that, the upper half has to compensate. And what you'll get is a twist in between. Not only are you losing momentum, you're putting your body through hell trying to correct yourself. So right there and then could be one of the reasons where a lot of these people are injury prone. And what you mentioned as well, some people, let's say for a left armer trying to go around the wicket, trying to go wide, and a right arm bowler tries to bring the ball, create that angle, brings that ball in. Sure, it can work, but then your foot is actually facing like second slip or third slip, and then you're trying to york him.
Bowling across your body.
Yeah, so you over there, I feel like you can generate a lot of pace, but that all of that is coming from your upper torso. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about, the balling, the jump and the pace, a lot of that kind of got lost in between because now you're rotating it, you're using your abdomen to rotate and then generate that pace purely from your abdomen or your shoulders. So, I mean, there's a certain loss there as well. And you need your back leg to have a spring. So it's less about it being a soft landing. So you can't jump and land and then just cushion your fall. Like Ashan mentioned, you're going to lose it. It can't be stiff. You're going to break your knee. There needs to be an optimum amount of bend in there because you want it to act like a hard spring, right? So you want it to go down and then that's where you transfer the momentum. So the jump came in, you push down on the ground and that's where you generate the momentum going into the second tent peg. So it needs to be springy enough for it to jump forward. But if it is too soft, then you're just losing momentum to the ground.
Just for clarification, so this is also called the drop step. Why is it called the drop step? Because your landing foot that Hamza is talking about, it lands and it's supposed, the idea behind is that
Barely
your heel
touches.
Your heel just touches the
like
ground and is back up again.
Okay. Back up. So it just your toes touch and you bring your heel as close as you can to the ground and then you back up for next.
Okay.
Now, this is something you have to practice without the ball for hours on end. It's not natural muscle memory. As Hamza had mentioned, like if you jump from somewhere, your muscle memory is to cushion the fall. So here you're kind of teaching yourself, cushion the fall, but for the slightest of split seconds. The quicker you are, the more the energy transfer, right? So just to clarify for the different kinds of ballers, your back foot, as per the biomechanics and the tent pegs, if you're a side-on baller, it should land parallel to the crease. If you're a semi-side-on baller, it should be facing towards square leg, roughly, or backward leg, roughly in that direction. And if you're a front-on baller, your landing foot needs to be pointing right at the batsman or the keeper, whichever one is easier for you. And a very important point he made was about balling across your body. That means that when your rear leg lands, you should ideally be in the 90 to 85 degree range. Never come across. It's better to ball open stance rather than go across. Because if you go across, you're literally risking your back to go into an abnormal amount of flexion, which can obviously create injuries. Let's move on to tent peg 2. We've spoken about the gather, ensuring that you kind of have that drop step. And now probably comes the most debated thing, and which is the front foot impact and having the braced leg.
Right.
The braced leg concept has spread like wildfire and has transformed fast bowling. Can you start off like a little by explaining it? I feel like a lot of our viewers might know what it is. But what does it do? What are its advantages? And does it really protect bowlers from injuries?
Okay. So this injury part, I mean, I think we can have a discussion in parallel for all of it for injuries. My view is that this human body is not meant to sustain fast bowling by default. So you're prone to get injured. But brace leg, disclaimer up front, is something that inherently scares me a lot. So I've bowled as well for a fair bit. I was not able to bowl with the brace leg because of a mental block. So what a brace leg is that you come in, I mean, you jump, you gather. We talked about landing the back leg. So when you're landing the front leg and then actually bowling your delivery, if your leg is completely straight, your knee is locked. So from your pelvis down to your toe, if it's like a straight line, that's called a brace leg. Okay, that's your knee is completely locked. Contrary to that, if you're bowling more like, you're running like a rotating wheel or something, your foot lands in, your knee is a little bit bent, like you're taking a jump or walking, and then you continue into that delivery. So that's where the knee naturally bends in. Advantages of brace leg:
Pace.
Space is space. It's the same argument. Pace is space. So what you want to do, we talked about as well, that you want to transfer the momentum. So you start with the running and everything. So the key is, how can I more efficiently transfer the momentum? So here is the contradicting thing where I mentioned that when you land, you don't want to soften your blow because you're losing momentum. Now, naturally, if your front leg also bends in, you're softening the blow a little bit as well. So you're kind of losing some of their energy there. If it's completely braced, so what you're doing is you're literally treating it as like a rigid stick. Like, those people in high jump, when you're talking about high jump, you want to get high, you want to get forward. Just make it a rigid stick. Hurl your body, use that as a pivot, hurl your body.
Vault.
Yeah, exactly. Hurl your body. Sorry, that's a long jump. So if you hurl your body and then continue, So they do not care about what the leg is doing. You essentially want to treat it as rigid as possible so that that's your pivot. You can rotate the rest of your body around it and bowl as fast as you can. A pole can break. Similar to that, our body, our knees are susceptible to that damage. That's where the risk comes in. And I think that is one of the most high risk, high reward kind of a scenario. That definitely is going to give you a lot of pace. And when I say give you a lot of pace, I mean it in the sense that it's not taking away your pace that you've already generated. So if you soften it, if you collapse your leg, you're taking away some of that pace. How much varies. I mean, some people drop a few clicks depending on how much they bend. But if it is doing the perfect braced leg, you're not supposed to lose any kind of pace on it.
One thing I'd like to draw a parallel to, Hamza, we discussed this off camera, is that the second tent peg is identical to the javelin.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll have a visual on the screen. We could see how a javelin thrower and how a fast bowler are not too different when they reach this point, right? Which is number 2. They will both have front braced legs. Now we talk about, we have all this stored energy. We've braced our front leg, and now this energy has to transfer and has to move forward.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, we talk about the release point, the ball release, tent peg 3.
Yes. That is when you want to now transfer the momentum back from your knee into your delivery. And there are multiple steps in the way. So, I mean, a lot of people give the example of the tapered pendulum, right? It's pretty popular. It's out there. How you transform, if something has a large mass, give you same momentum, and then it transfers the momentum to an increasingly smaller thing. At the very end, the smallest thing is going to have more momentum. It's just conservation of momentum, right? M goes down, V goes up. Now, so if we're bowling, we want there to be multiple steps. We want to add in those discretized steps to make the final delivery just a flick of the wrist, just a small mass. If you treat everything like a single body, you took off, now you have the momentum, and then you treat the entire body like a single rigid mass. It has a lot of mass, and just throw it. You're not adding a lot. So your velocity is not a lot. It's going to be the same thing that you're running in at. So where do you add that extra momentum? Now, steps come in. You have your torso. You torso put in, you torso or back. I mean, depends on how you see it. You bend that. You add extra pace. Next thing comes in your shoulder, right? You rotate your shoulder. Your lats come in to add that extra pace. Then finally, your arm is coming in. And at the very end, it's the wrist. So it's like you're charging that and then you're focusing all of that one by one into the delivery to get it out there and get as much pace out there. So this is the kinetic transfer of momentum. And that's the main idea behind this one, to efficiently go from that position to a release point.
Tent peg 3 is also often explained using windmill terminologies. Why is that?
Just to get the idea of rotational velocity. If you have a windmill that's rotating, so your rotational velocity, if you look at the tangential velocity, it's going to scale with the radius. So the bigger the radius, the more tangential velocity you can have. So it just comes in that how high you want it to be, how far away this separation can be, so that if you rotate it, and you can just understand it from principal momentum, right? Moment, like force into distance. If I do not have that leverage, if I'm screwing anything or if I'm using like a wrench, if I do not have that leverage, I'm not going to put in that much force. To increase that leverage, I just reach as far as I can from the pivot point, which in this case is the shoulder. That's my final pivot point before the wrist. And then I generate a lot of that velocity by maximizing that distance. If I'm just there and I'm just barely have this very close by, then all of that force is not going to translate into that much velocity.
Ian Pont would always say that when you're about to release the ball, make yourself as big as possible. Right? And that's what that essentially means, is that, again, down to physics, the wider your flaps, the more momentum you will generate.
It's about moment.
Of
torque. Definition of moment. If you have a fixed amount of force that you can put in to get more torque, just increase your distance from the pivot.
And then when we come on to the delivery point, right? This is the tent peg where you're actually about to release the ball. What occurs here? Because this is very important. This is where the wrist flick comes in. This is where a lot of individuals are questioned about their elbow positions and whatnot. So how critical is that? And what is this terminology that they use, that imagine you have a string tied to your is it your
That's your forward leading arm, right?
forward leading arm?
Yeah.
You yank
Yeah,
it in, and
yeah.
this one should come
Yeah.
forward. But when this one comes forward,
Yeah.
it needs to be right above your knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not like this. But if you were to draw a line, they would be in one line.
So starting off with the bent elbow, like I said, everyone wants to be fast, and the consistent theme is the more points that you're adding, you're like at every time your core is adding some pace, your shoulder is adding some pace, your wrist is adding that final flick. If you're not generating that much pace as an amateur, you feel like, okay, what's my natural way to generate more pace? It's to bend it and get another kind of a pace from your elbow, right? So if someone, let's say, I mean, even to us, when we're fielding, if someone from the boundary line is throwing, they're not going to throw with a full arm action. That's not going to reach, right? So your natural is to get it as far as fast as possible. You bend your elbow, get that flick in, and you throw it.
Yeah.
So that's what
But the pivot movement change here. So
yeah. So and now the thing is, this is much more vulnerable. Your shoulder has a lot of padding, so the muscles there, they can protect your ball and socket joint. That's fine. These are just a couple of tendons right here. If you break them, then they are more susceptible to it.
If any youngsters are watching this video, I think we're all a little older now, so we can refer to youngsters. If they're watching these videos, one of the best drills you can do for wrist control is just get on your knees 6 feet away from the ball. If you're a right-hander, put your right knee forward, put your left knee on the ground, okay? And just go into your delivery stride. Go through the 10 pegs without thinking about your lower body, just your upper body. And at this point, just work on the wrist.
Keep releasing.
And honestly, if you want ball in swinger, try to release it like this. If you want ball out swinger, I don't want to like be arrogant or anything, but there came a point where I would release the ball from the same place, and just by the wrist, I was able to move it both ways. But that meant that I was practicing without a ball for hours. Then once I got the ball, I would just practice for 1 or 2 hours the in swinger. Then I'd come back the next day, ball the out swinger for 1 or 2 hours. It's just about muscle memory. A lot of fast bowling coaches as well as commentators say, needs to flick his wrist,
It's not that easy.
It's not natural. You have to practice it.
Yeah.
And that practice comes against the wall, just doing this all day. Why do we see so many bowlers before they warm up do this? It's to open their wrist up.
That's it.
You know, I think a lot of people sleep on this fact, and I don't feel ashamed saying this. I learned wrist work from Srishant. Srishant literally, even when his run up, his wrist would be going like this.
Beautiful wrist position when he releases it.
Muhammad Shami is another great example of a proper seam position. Right? When Shaheen is on top of his game, his seam presentation is top notch. Right? When we know that Haris Rauf is bowling well, his seam position is top notch. Right? These things go a long way. Arshdeep Singh, whenever he's bowling, and in times we see his ill discipline, we see those wides down the leg side, it's just because he's losing control over the seam. He knows he wants to bring the ball in. He knows he's trying to in swing it, but the degree of control over the seam is missing. And where does that come from? Wrist. And I can't do it anymore.
And to add a little bit to that, it's even more difficult with the new ball.
Okay.
Yes.
The control with the new ball, it's shiny, it's slippery. To keep that control is much more. It's easy to do with the old ball. So when they used to be reverse swing as well, that part's fine. You have much more control. But when
Grip the ball a lot harder in reverse swing.
When the ball is new, to have that control, it is quite difficult.
So we've spoken about the complexities of 10 peg 3, how it has many different factors that need to click together. 10 peg 4, where it all ends, and the 10 peg 4 is, I guess, unique in the sense that the knee drive of the trailing leg, of the leg behind your landing foot, then really has to rotate, come through and finish at your hips towards the batsman. And then you deviate away from the pitch so your follow through is not damaging the condition of the pitch. What else would you say is very key about 10 peg 4?
What I still think, how I visualize 10 peg 4 is I think of it as a safety net for 10 peg 3. That we've built up this hype about 10 peg 3, and a lot of viewers might think, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't brace my leg. Like why is naturally fast bowling out there to get my knee? 10 peg 4 is meant as like a safety net in the sense that if you have a nice 10 peg 4 with 10 peg 3, you can still remain safe. That's because after you've released the ball, okay, the ball is gone. Now your body still has that momentum going in. How do you dissipate that? So you want to dissipate that in a safe manner. Start in a most unsafe way is stop. Your car is going at 100 miles, instant brake. Screenshot. Okay.
Screenshot.
Yeah, you're gone. So you and then you stop. So now all of that momentum your body was carrying, in that instant, it has given into your legs and your knees and everything, and it has taken all the impact. It's the same thing when you take a catch. You have a fast catch, you don't want hard hand. Soften it, carry it, safely dissipate its momentum. 10 peg 4, you're running, you're jumping, so your legs are kind of like driving a cycle. You're still in that momentum. You braced your leg, you delivered the ball. Now let that leg come in as much as you can. Let your body bend as much, and then continue in that nice follow off to slow down with each step and deviate away. So that's why it's important, and it's important in conjunction with 10 peg 3, because you want to safely dissipate it away. Now, that's also what you can think of is generating pace. It helps because that's what you visualize. Like, for example, if you think, oh, okay, I'm going to bowl and then immediately stop. So right when the second you're delivering the ball, you're like, okay, now I'm going to start getting up and start stopping. You're kind of getting rid of all of that pace that you accumulated. If you're like, okay, let's throw the ball, let my body, this motion that I have, this pivot I've taken, let all of it go forward, and I'll then slow down. So that mental block, that instant impulse lets you put in that pace. And what Hassan mentioned as well about, string to your arm as well, also comes in that it's a little bit in relation with both 10 peg 2 and 3. You have your front arm, it's like you're grabbing someone by the collar, because it's hard to have your arm and then just bend your back. You want this arm to go down, provide you that counteracting weight to pivot your body, and then so you're going through that cycling motion. And in this 10 peg as well, this arm goes back, this comes in, your leg, back leg that gave you that extra spring comes in, touches, and then you're ending there next to your knees. So it's just a completion of the motion, a safe dissipation of all the energy that you have collected.
And just to make the front upper half more clearer, when your arm comes through, when you have delivered the ball, your right arm must kind of touch your shin and slap yourself on the rib. Yes. Yeah. Not literally, but that's the sort of...
that's the projectile that it should follow.
It should follow. Okay. And when this arm, the right arm is going down to your left shin and hitting your rib, the right knee is driving through your hips and landing while your right arm is going down to the side. Yeah. So what this does, it's kind of like in batting as well. When you hit a shot, you have a follow through. If you cut your follow through short, you're disrupting the motion. But when you let your arms go all the way through and you finish it by hitting yourself on the rib,
you're completing the motion.
Do not check your shot is what you tell all batsmen. So do not check your delivery right when you're delivering it. That's where the follow through 10 peg 4 comes in.
And on this rather positive note, I would like to bring this episode to a culmination. The 4 10 pegs and the discussions we've had around them show us that speed is created by loading early, blocking hard, releasing late, and letting the body decelerate properly. And you miss any of those 4 10 pegs and you have the risk of energy loss. But we've also discussed in detail that one size does not fit all. And we have many different fast bowlers around the world, like the Mitchell Starks, the Wasim Akrams and whatnot, who do not have the 4 10 pegs perfectly nailed down or did not have them. Yet they are the most prolific left-arm fast bowlers to have played the game. I think fast bowling isn't magic. It's physics at the end of the day. And if it's done in the right order, and if you consciously pick the right trade-offs between the 10 pegs, you can not only elongate your career, but also fix those minor inefficiencies that might be holding you back. Yeah. This is Crick Take. We'll speak to you some other day, some other time. Take care, and bye-bye.